Hey guys, this is Nico with JourneyŌM with another question from our seekers, and that is, will I have a bad trip? And that is also a very loaded question. So, I've met people that have never had, um, say, a challenging experience. We don't like to call them bad trips because what we feel, and most professionals in this field feel, is that there's no such thing as a bad trip. You may have a very challenging experience, and I will share with you in a little bit one of my most challenging experiences. Uh, uh, and usually, those experiences bring a lot of teachings and learnings and things that you can integrate after the fact. So, a bad trip or a challenging experience is usually something that's going to happen if you are working with traumatic material or deep material, maybe stuff that your subconscious has repressed your entire life, and this stuff is coming up, and it can be very scary. And usually, this is where a guide will be very helpful in taking you through, uh, helping you through that challenging material. So it's a possibility that you will have a challenging trip, definitely, and especially if you're trying to work through um, a mental health condition such as depression, anxiety, or panic attack, or even especially PTSD, which is usually based on the trauma that you had. This experience might be challenging. Probably less so under MDMA than you would under the psilocybin or magic mushrooms. But if it does happen, it's often something that you need to work through and not avoid. So often what is encouraged is curiosity. If you see something very challenging that comes in your field or vision or in your awareness, the suggestion is to be curious and to ask, what are you here for? What is this? Tell me more. Um, so I will leave you with my most challenging experience. It was actually in a group journey, and I wish it had happened to me uh, in a one-on-one experience, so I could have had a guide with me to help me process it as I went through it. But fortunately, I had enough experience with other one-on-one journeys with guides that I could help myself a little bit, if you will. But during that journey, uh, without knowing it, relived my birth experience. Um, and it felt like I was constantly choking and I was running out of air and I felt like I was dying for 4 or 5 hours. It was very, very challenging the whole time, and I needed a lot of help from guides to come and, put their hands on my chest or hold my hand or telling me that I was okay. And I felt I was in a yurt, and the top of the yurt was this big red circle. It was at night, so it wasn't red, it was black, but I saw it as a red circle, and I felt like I was being pulled towards that circle. And as I was getting pulled towards the circle, I felt the light come through, and I felt the air come out of my lungs. I was choking. And as I was integrating that the next day and the next days, I was talking to my guide and said, "What was that about? I don't understand what that was." And she said, "Well, think about. Do you know anything about what happened during your birth?" And I had no idea. I mean, I knew my mom had a long birth. I think 19 hours. Um, and so I called my mom and I said, "Hey, can you tell me more about what happened during my birth?" And she explained that uh, my umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, and when I was born, I was all blue and I was deprived of oxygen, and they had to revive me. And so that's what I relieved. I relieved my birth trauma, and it kind of started explaining other feelings that I had in my adult life, even in my child life. So it was very helpful for me to relieve this. Not during it, of course. It was very distressing. It was challenging. But knowing this helped me metabolize a lot of the experiences I've had as a teenager and as an adult person, and it was probably one of the most helpful journeys I've ever had. So yes, you can have a very challenged trip, you can have a rough trip, but it's often, if not always, super helpful, especially if you are with a guide that can help you process it. So yeah, so that's it for today. Keep the questions coming. Thanks you all, and have a great day. Bye.